Hello, so today's guest on Dakini Conversations is an Indian woman who needs little introduction in India, Maneka Gandhi. She is widely known not only as a former member of the socially and politically influential Gandhi family, but also as a leading animal rights advocate, founder of major animal welfare initiatives, an environmentalist, vegan campaigner, author, and former union minister for women and child development. As a brief introduction, when I first searched online for a prominent animal welfare campaigner in India to interview, Maneka Gandhi's name immediately came up. At the time, I knew little of her remarkable and tragic personal history. It was only after she kindly and immediately accepted my interview request did I learn more that she was, in fact, the daughter-in-law of India's first female Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, who was assassinated, and the widow of Sanjay Gandhi, her son, who died in a plane crash just 100 days after the birth of their child, when Maneka was only 23 years old. Despite such profound loss, Maneka Gandhi went on to build a life, not only as a leading female politician, but of notable public service to animals and the environment. For example, with the money left to her by her late husband, she founded an animal welfare hospital and later established People for Animals, now one of India's largest animal welfare organizations. She has been active in Indian politics for over 30 years and has written several books on animal rights, law, and etymology. This was my first time meeting and speaking with Maneka Gandhi, and it was a great privilege and honor to be able to do so. Indian people address her as Mrs. Gandhiji, and I did the same. We had agreed in advance that I would not focus on her personal or political life, but on her work in animal welfare, the environment, vegan diet, and women. Although we had never met before, Maneka Gandhi, who is now 70, was open, direct, and warm, and showed a wisdom and intelligence. She also shared some fascinating reflections and personal anecdotes, including how the 14th Dalai Lama and the 17th Karmapa from the Tibetan Buddhist world influenced vegetarianism and animal rights in India in differing ways, in particular referring to the 17th Karmapa's influence as being like an angel and having a very positive impact. She also shares some of her thoughts on a popular belief that the Buddha was poisoned by pork as his final meal. For the record, I do not follow Indian politics and remain entirely impartial in that sphere. My reason for inviting Maneka Gandhi was to highlight her significant and beneficial work on those topics in India in relation to animals and the environment and diet. We also touched briefly on her work for women, including some of her achievements in that area, such as pensions. Whatever one's political views, Maneka Gandhi stands as a prime example of resilience, intelligence, and courage, someone who has overcome immense hardship and challenges and tragedy and used her life to benefit others in both the public and private spheres. The fact that she, as a widower, lone mother, and woman, was able to do that makes it even more inspiring. 2 years ago, I noted that Maneka said in an interview, "I believe my life only has meaning if it reduces some amount of suffering." And as a woman and a Buddhist myself, that statement deeply resonated with me. And it is one I was honored to discuss with one of the most prominent, powerful, and influential women in India. Welcome to Dakini Conversations, Mrs. Maneka Gandhiji. So please can you tell us more about where your interest in animals started, say from as a child or as a teenager?
Well, I think I was born interested in animals, but it's not so much interested in animals as I seriously don't see the difference between an ant, a dog, an elephant, me. So I was born with that kind of awareness. And that's all. I did whatever I could at every stage to work for me, which means work for everybody.
Yes. And so did you have pets as a child?
My father was in the army, and
Yeah.
we had the standard amount of pets that, army people have, which is usually one dog or two dogs. Yes.
And now I was listening to one of your interviews, and you mentioned that you wouldn't use the word animal lover because you think it's actually a bit derogatory. Now, I wondered if you could say something about that before we talk about some of your activities in India.
I find the whole word of love so small and so restrictive.
Mm,
It's nothing to do with love. Firstly, it's respect. And secondly, it's the knowledge that everyone is me.
mm,
And each one of us are in our own private hells.
Hmm.
And if we can do something to make that hell for you, the animal, better, then that is my job. Imagine a world in which I have no power at all, which somebody else decides whether I live or die, whether they will eat me or turn me into a football or wear me. I imagine if somebody comes and hits me with a stick and I have no rights at all.
Yes,
That world needs people like me. And
definitely.
that's why I do what I do.
Definitely, and so if I go back, obviously, your life in India is very well known. You know your connection to a very well known political family, the Gandhi family, and then your husband he tragically passed away in a plane crash, and
When I
you
was 23,
when you were 23 and your son was 100 days old.
that's
Now,
right.
obviously, this is something which is a great tragedy, but you mentioned that you used some of the money that had been left to you after
I
that.
used all of it,
You
all
used
of it.
all of it
Yes,
um, because you had to leave the family home as well. That's
that's
right?
right. That was very difficult. I left the family home 2 years later. But before that, I used up all the money on making this the India's first shelter.
Right.
And
So yeah. Hmm.
it was, I had to design it and I had to be the contractor because we didn't have very much money. But today it's Asia's largest animal shelter.
Yes. And so can you tell us the name of this animal shelter? So this is
It's
something that
named
you,
after my husband. It's called the
yes,
Sanjay Gandhi Animal Care Center.
animal
And it
care.
has about 8,000 animals in it,
Wow.
ranging from camels to guinea pigs to
Wow.
monkeys, peacocks, everything.
And so, again, what was the inspiration there to use all of that money to start that? Was that something that also your husband himself was interested in helping animals that way?
No, not particularly. He loved animals, but not
Mm.
in the way that
Mm.
I think about them. They were animals, they were pets. Why
Yes.
did I use all the money?
Mm.
Because I just believed that that was what I was meant to do. I actually go into the rain without
Mm.
umbrellas. So
Yes.
the rain stops for a bit.
Okay, so yeah, well, I mean, I don't know where to start with your life. It's so interesting and you face so many challenges and difficulties, but obviously you've really done something, really incredible with it and in these situations. So, even as a single mother on your own, a widower with a child, how easy was it to sort of start such an organization like that in India?
Uh, it took a long time. In fact,
Mm,
what I used to do was I was working with animals all the time and in my shelter. And then 4 or 5 of my friends got together,
mm.
and they were all well known. And they created this organization, People for Animals, and gave it to me for a birthday present.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
along with the princely sum of 10,000 rupees, which would probably be about 70 pounds or something, and, and a typewriter.
Yes.
And then what we did was I started the first television show in India called Heads and Tails. And it was a weekly show which showed you how a chicken became a chicken sandwich.
Ah,
And
okay. How
and
fascinating.
so we had two segments which were very violent and very
Mm,
sad, and two which showed you people who were doing wonderful things for animals anywhere in India. So a lot of people watched it because it was on the only television available in India, the national television.
mm,
So
mm.
it ran for about 5 years. And then I
Yeah.
had another TV show called Menaka's Ark, where
Yes.
we, on another channel. In the meantime, I was writing for about 30 or 40 newspapers about animal welfare, a weekly
Wow.
thing. And then we started, and then in between, I became minister of the government of India several times. And so we did other things. We stopped dissection in schools, which used to be mandatory. We stopped the killing of dogs, which used to be
Mm.
mandatory,
Well, could I, yeah, if
etc. So
yeah,
lots of
well,
other things.
this is fascinating. Now, Can I just talk about this, the dogs, the stray dogs in India? Now, I have spent some time in India myself, and I love India. But yes, everyone knows there is an issue with street dogs. And in fact, I was actually bitten by a street dog a few years ago, so I have a direct experience of it. And what happened was is that there was a kind of an impasse because the dog charities were saying they couldn't the local authorities had to take the dog away, and the local authorities were saying it was the dog charities, and this dog had been biting people apparently quite a lot. It was kind of just randomly biting. So it was a kind of a direct experience of some of the issues that are faced at the grassroots level of having dogs on the street and in the terrible states that they're in, right? They don't have food and then your program to sort of deal with that and the challenges of that. So perhaps you can explain a little bit more, how is it in that situation, where it's actually very difficult to take a dog off the streets who's actually biting people quite a lot? What's the sort of issue there mainly?
Oh, there used to be a in India that is Western in orientation, where you kill
Yes.
everything that doesn't work for you. Whereas in
Yeah.
us,
Well, yes.
we work with all animals and birds.
Yes.
And so we started this program in 1991 on sterilization of dogs. That was, I had started it. But it actually went into effect with the government, with WHO pitching in 2000. And in 2001, the rules came out. Now,
Yes.
the idea was you sterilize all the dogs
Mm.
properly and you put them back into their areas. Once you put a dog back into its area and its testosterone has been removed, and the female dogs are not going to have children anymore, then you
Yes.
remove 90% of the reason why they bite people.
Hmm.
That 10% will remain because of if you relocate a dog.
Yes.
For instance, if I pick him up from my colony and put him into another colony, then he will
Yes.
bite as many as he can because he's very frightened.
Mm. Mm.
So the rules came in that you pick them up, sterilize them, put them back in, and they will not bite. And in the beginning, this was a program made for us by WHO,
Yes.
who said this is the only way to do it. Now, over the last 20 years, the government has not put in 1 rupee into the program.
Mm.
So the program starts and stops and starts and stops. And in the meantime, the business groups of India have discovered they can make money on this.
Okay.
So they pretend to sterilize them. They take the
Yes.
money from the government and then they
Okay.
don't sterilize them. They
Yes.
make a
Yeah.
notch on the ear, which is what the sign is for a sterilized dog. And then
Right.
they release it back on the road. In the meantime, the dog has become really angry now because it's had
Yes.
its ear
Yes.
cut open. It's
Yes.
in a new place. And
Yes.
so the biting has not stopped. So
Mm.
finally, the Supreme Court has had a fit and gone into a suo motu exercise in which
Right.
they have told the government to make the sterilization centers properly, train the people doing it properly instead of getting business groups who do nothing.
Yeah.
And there's 780 districts in India to make 780 sterilization centers. Now, the government still hasn't done it. So
Mm.
when they do it, the biting will stop, the population will come down,
Yes. Yes.
everything will
Absolutely.
work out, but let it start.
Yes. Well,
It's like,
absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely not for putting down animals. I
no,
don't think that's the answer, and I'm against killing as a Buddhist. But one of the frustrating things was, as you say, that there seemed to be some impasse about what to do with the dog because
no, everybody knows
there
what to
wasn't
do.
anywhere
It's
to
just,
put it, and they were all shifting the blame onto they should do it, they should do it. So yeah, it became an issue, a safety issue, because the dog was still on the street, still biting people. So anyway, it's good to know that you're really trying to do
no,
something
there is
about
a
that.
proper plan for it. The point
Yeah.
is the government has to implement it.
Yes. Yes.
I can't say I'm going to remove malaria and then do
Yeah.
nothing about it
Yes,
and just
exactly.
expect it to, go away with a wand.
Yes, definitely,
So that's what's
definitely.
happened with the dog program. It's
I
on
see.
paper.
Right. And so what do you, how can people support what you're doing then with that? What's the best way that people in India or even
I think
internationally can support them?
write to the
Yeah.
Prime Minister and
Yeah.
just say, for God's sake, start the sterilization centers, train the NGOs, put money into this. When
Yes.
India wanted to remove polio,
Yes.
because we had an pandemic of polio at one point,
Yes. Yes.
but when we wanted to get rid of it, we
Mm.
then had to put in 700, what's it, 70 million per week,
Mm.
to get the injections, to get people to line up.
Yes.
The Muslims refused to take the injection because they felt it was going to turn them into lesser men.
Oh,
Then to
okay.
convince them took 10 years. But the
Yes.
program beavered on for 20 years and then it was a success.
Right.
If you don't put 1 rupee into a program which involves hospitalization, hospital centers, ambulances, then
Yes.
how will it work?
Yeah. Yes, it must be frustrating, yeah, when the government don't seem to back up these great ideas and plans. And in the meantime, obviously, people on the streets get very affected by it, as you say. Now,
Everybody's fed up with it. Yeah,
everybody's fed up with it. Yes, yeah,
including us.
including
Yeah.
myself. Now, but now, if we can turn a little to another animal, which is obviously a very important animal historically and spiritually in India, is the sacred cow, as they call it. And now, if we turn now a little bit to how animals are used for food as well, particularly. So I have here a quote from you, if you don't mind my quoting it. You say, "Unless we change our food choices, nothing else matters, because it is meat that is destroying most of our forests. It is meat that pollutes the waters. It is meat that is creating disease, which leads to all our money being diverted to hospitals. So it's the first choice for anybody who wants to save the earth." I mean, I took this from one of your previous
But
interviews.
it's true. It's true.
Yes.
Meat is at the root
Yeah.
of every single problem we have.
Yes.
To begin with, we have what seems to be an impasse between Hindus and Muslims, which every now and then explodes into bombs and
Mm.
mobbing and fighting and
Yes.
horrible third-rate movies being made about Pakistan
Yes.
being our
Yes.
enemy, etc. And the root of it is meat. They eat
Interesting.
cows,
Yeah.
and we don't want them to eat
Right.
cows. You
Yeah.
know,
And that's interesting that you mentioned that sort of religious aspect to it, because also there is particularly in Europe, a lot of people eat pork, and yet pork is forbidden generally, right, in the Muslim diet, as far as I'm
again,
aware.
yeah,
And yet also pork as well, pigs are highly intelligent animals, right, as you know, and considered to be the third most intelligent animal after, I think, dolphins and monkeys, something like
no,
that.
no, they're much more intelligent than dogs and monkeys.
Right. Oh,
I would
okay.
say right next to the elephant.
Oh,
The
so
elephant is just a human in another shape, in any case.
interesting. Well, that's the first time I've
But
heard that. But yeah,
pigs, yes,
yes,
pigs and chickens, both of them have a proper language with a grammar.
yes, yes, yeah,
So that would
absolutely. I
put them
think
right after humans, if after is not the
definitely,
word.
and it's a shocking level of pork that's eaten in Europe,
Yeah.
particularly, but all over the world, in Southeast
No, all
Asia as
over
well.
here as well. The
Yeah,
Chinese,
really? Oh, it's
everywhere.
it's increasing in India, is it? Because
Yep.
one of the great things I always thought about India, and especially when I come there as well and stay there, is it's actually much easier to be vegan or vegetarian in India. Now that's
It's very
partly,
simple.
yes, it's very simple. It's to do with that yogic diet, that Ayurvedic diet, and also you have
Also we have 70 different kinds of vegetables and we have
mm,
400 varieties of each one. We are full of
yeah,
fruit. We have them throughout the year. We have
yes,
weather that supplies everything to everybody. We
yes,
have, I think, over 24,000 kinds of rice.
yes,
We have
exactly.
purple wheat and red wheat and black wheat and,
Yes,
all
absolutely. I
sorts of
mean,
things. So it's
when I
very
come to
simple.
India, I always think how wonderful it is, how easy it is now to be a vegan vegetarian
Vegan.
there. And
Yeah.
obviously, you have the very famous example of Mahatma Gandhi, who brought the vegetarian principles into the UK, in fact, So, the historical, element of vegetarianism is there. Now, you did say that, again, another quote, that we don't need cow killers in India when the first McDonald's opened there in around 1996. Now, what's your sort of view on this whole junk food or sort of, fast food invasion of Indian cities? I mean, it's very
I
much going
think
against the Indian cultural heritage, isn't it?
very much. We try to stop McDonald's. The thing is that, our all the rubbish from the West
Mm.
is always sent to the East,
Mm.
always. We
Yes.
don't send rubbish from here to you. We
Yeah.
send you samosas and good things. And you send us
Yeah.
McDonald's and Wendy's and all
Well,
sorts of garbage.
I like to exclude the UK from that, but yes, I'm not saying the UK. I mean, certainly I would say
Now, the
America,
UK also sent
but
us rubbish.
well,
In fact,
no doubt, yeah.
you are the ones who gave us milk. You know that.
Well, that's an interesting fact. No, and I
When the
wasn't aware of
British
that,
came
but
here, they are
yeah,
the ones who used to drink milk. So they
interesting. Yeah.
started dairies, they pushed the whole milk theme.
Really?
So
Wow, I never
my
knew that.
grandfather, no, my
Yeah.
grandfather, Sir Datar Singh, was knighted for being the first person to have a dairy farm in India.
Ah,
And
okay.
he was made advisor to the government. So so I know about the milk problem. But
That
the
well
thing is,
yeah, that's so
the
interesting
whole
because
milk
obviously the
thing,
cow is very sacred in India, right? And that's where the
yes, but
sacred cow, yeah.
until then it wasn't used for milk.
Mm,
And now it's just another animal. We may say it's sacred,
mm,
but the cow and the milk feeds
mm.
into the meat industry
Yes.
because
Yes.
the minute it stops giving milk, it goes off and gets slaughtered.
Yes. So, how do you deal with that then? That people are eating more and more sort of beef and chicken, and particularly chicken. I mean, and what is its effects? I mean, we know what the effects on the global environment are, but in India particularly, what are the effects of this sort of more mass meat eating that's going on there
Well,
environmentally?
it's because of the animals grown for meat that we have no forests, very strange rain and
Mm,
erratic rain, floods and drought. We have polluted rivers. This is
mm,
all due to meat. And I'll tell you
yeah.
why. The buffaloes, cows, and goats that are bred for meat are all grown in the forests. So at any given time, you have
Mm,
between 500,000 to a million animals in the forest
mm,
grazing off the forest shoots. So
mm,
the forest doesn't grow. We had 9% of forest. How awful is that? You know,
yeah.
because of that, we don't get rain. We used to have climate, a rainy season, a hot season, and a cold season. Now
Mm,
we have what the British have, which is weather. It differs from day to day to day,
yes.
and we depend now on the weatherman telling us whether it's going to rain or not at whatever
Mm,
time. So it's thrown
yeah.
all our crops into disarray.
Awful.
You
Yeah.
can't possibly grow a crop and expect it to see its legitimate end because you don't
Mm,
know what the weather will be.
yes.
All our fruit, all our fruit is down the drain. Our oranges
Yes.
have gone. Our watermelons are now strange because of the
Mm,
weather. But
mm,
so your forests have declined. So the
yeah.
weather has become very unstable. Not only that, it takes buckets and buckets and buckets of water to
Yes.
give one cow or one
Exactly.
buffalo, one goat. But
Exactly.
even more than that, the leather industry, which is the
Mm,
largest in the world, is in India. And all the leather companies are at the edge of the Ganges. And so there's 700 chemicals involved in making leather. And all of them are thrown into the Ganges River. So the Ganges River is technically almost dead.
this is tragic. This is really heartbreaking, actually, and particularly in
And
India.
so
Yeah.
unnecessary. So unnecessary.
And so unnecessary, as you say, because India has that sort of rich, vegetation and rich culture
That's
of
right.
the
And we
yogic diet.
don't
Yeah.
need meat. But
No.
the point is one, the governments, whichever government comes
Mm,
in, believes that the export of meat is the only thing that will earn us money. So now we are the largest exporters of beef in the world. And since our party has come in, which is a
yes.
Hindu party, basically,
Yes.
it
Yes.
has increased by 40%. So it's even worse.
Well, this
Number
is
two,
really shocking, actually. I mean, I'm sort of shocked at the scale of that then, because everyone associates India with vegetarianism, and it did
no,
used to be like that. Like you say, it was
one
very much
billion, 1 billion tons of beef or around about there. No?
exported.
Then the other thing that we do is we have cut down our forests to grow soya bean, to grow your meat. Every 1/7 of all British meat and European meat is grown on Indian soya bean.
No.
So that's the
Yeah, I mean,
second
the
problem.
whole industry is, yeah, it's insane, right? Because it's
Yeah.
that whole interdependence and how it's affecting so many countries in these detrimental ways and the environment. And of course, the cruelty for the animals as well is phenomenal, right? I mean, I just I don't know what you think about this, but Bhutan, I was just in Bhutan recently, and they have banned slaughterhouses, although when I was there, it
No,
became
no, wait a
apparent
minute.
that
This is what
they
is known as,
import the
no,
meat from
this is, I'm
India,
saying
right? And
Bhutan
they
is just being cute. It's
yes,
just being cute.
yes. And I discovered that even though they had this ban, they were importing the meat from India.
Every one of them is there. You can't find any vegetarians there. They're all eating meat, but it all comes from India. Now, Sri Lanka's done the same. They've
Mm.
also closed their slaughterhouses down, and
Yes.
they get it from India because it's easier for us to kill ourselves than it is for
Yeah.
them to kill themselves with slaughterhouses.
It's really, yeah, it's interesting that so many of these countries that are sort of, claiming to be Buddhist as well. Here we go. Now, here's the interesting thing. Because obviously, I have a background particularly with Tibetan Buddhism. And one thing I noticed there when I was in India, particularly, was how many Tibetans also eat meat in India. And again, this whole sort of cultural divide
I
of,
would say that
mm,
I would say that 80% of all Buddhists eat meat. And
mm,
probably because Buddhism is not Indian religion, even though the Buddha strayed into India for a bit from Nepal, it's
mm,
basically Chinese. And so the Chinese eat all the time. That's why all the Tibetan Buddhists
mm.
eat meat. Now, it's really quite sad because it makes a mockery of Buddhism.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
one of
I've
the
had so many
reasons,
discussions about this with Tibetans in
yeah,
particular. Yeah.
no, but one of the reasons why they eat meat is because they base it on a complete nonsensical story
Mm,
saying that Buddha died of eating pork.
mm,
Now, when I used to write these articles, I had to do huge amounts of research, and one of the things
yes.
I would do is base it on religion as well. Now, the story goes like this: that the Buddha was given food. He used to
Mm.
beg for food, the
Yes,
bhikshu syndrome.
exactly. They were all begging for food at that time.
That's
It
right.
wasn't like going in
And the
restaurants and shops and things. Yeah.
and the Buddha was particular about begging for food because he
Mm.
believed that it would remove your ego as well.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
but please remember one thing. The story goes that he was given pork, and the pork was 2 days old or 5 days old or whatever without a fridge. And he died of
Mm,
poisoned pork. Now, in actual fact, that's nonsense because I've read the original Pali, in
mm.
which was the language of his time. And in that, the word that they have turned into pork for Hindi and English and
Yes.
whatever is the word for food that is fed to pigs.
Oh,
It's not
interesting.
food that is fed of pigs, it's fed to pigs.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Interesting. Yeah.
food that is fed to pigs is vegetarian because pigs eat
Yes.
vegetables, you know.
Well, at least they
So
should do. Yeah. And not be
now
fed
they
meat.
do,
Yeah.
unless you
Yeah.
force feed them.
Yes,
But we are
exactly.
talking about free ranging pigs during his
Yes.
time, the Buddha's time, right?
Yes.
Now, the second thing was, please remember, the Buddha was well known during his time. He wasn't just an ordinary preacher. He
Yes.
was the big boss even when he was alive,
Mm.
right? So when he used to go from door to door, it was an entourage that would go with him. It was not
Yes,
him,
definitely. Yeah.
right? Now,
Yes.
even today, in my country as it
Mm.
exists today, however horrible it is, if a beggar comes to my door and
Yes.
asks me for food, whether I'm Muslim or Hindu, I will not feed them meat. I am
Mm.
more likely to give them fruit, a
Yes,
banana, an
exactly.
apple, or whatever I can find in the house, or even if I give them rotis,
Yes.
bread. But I will certainly not give them meat. So now you have the Buddha landing up at somebody's door with an entourage, asking for food. Do you think anybody would have given him meat, much less pork?
No, not unless they were
Because
actually
it's
trying to
culturally not
poison him. But
possible.
yes, it's extremely unlikely. And I don't know much about this story, but I'm sure there is
No, no,
quite a
this
bit
is
of research on
the
it. But it's
base of the story that the Chinese, the Sri Lankans, and everybody else has used to
yes.
eat meat. That if the
Well,
Buddha ate it, I
I
can't do it.
certainly know from my own research on this that another reason is because, like you said, the Buddha did it to reduce attachment to food and our ego. And so one time when they were offered meat, he told them they could only eat it if they knew it hadn't been specifically killed to eat, and that was the one time apparently he said it was acceptable.
No, it doesn't exist in
But
Pali. This incident doesn't exist in Pali. Number one.
yeah,
Number two, in India, the Dalai Lama has caused a big problem because he boasts about eating meat.
well,
So, oh,
this is a controversial subject. I don't.
no, it's not. It
But
should be
no,
said.
I know,
It should
and
be said.
I spoke to Peter Singer about
No,
this
I
as well,
spoke to
and
him.
a lot of people are very unhappy about this. And I must admit, I
I
do also
spoke to
have some
him.
issues with it. Yeah, yeah.
I spoke to him
Mm.
and said that don't do it. Whether you eat
Mm.
meat or not, keep it quiet. Don't make a
Oh,
thing.
good for
Don't say it
you.
in every
Okay.
interview.
Yes.
And he then sent me his doctor and he wrote me a letter saying that I
Ah.
will turn vegetarian because of you. So
Oh,
for 1 year,
interesting.
he became vegetarian. And
Yes.
then after 1 year, he sent the same doctor to me and said that the Dalai Lama believes that he has major health problems when he can't. So I said, well, in that case, he must suit his body rather than his
Mm.
mind.
Yes.
And
Well,
that was
that's
that.
an interesting story, but unfortunately, in the Vinaya rules, the monastic rules, monastics are strictly forbidden from eating meat, even for health reasons. So
It's
it,
not just
yeah.
exactly. So we have
So,
a
so,
problem
so
there.
whether you have a health issue or not is considered in the Vinaya rules, at least, to be irrelevant, unless you're starving or you're dying or something like that.
Absolutely.
But so
No,
anyway,
absolutely.
this is a controversial subject, but certainly
No, but
there
it
is
should be dealt with.
there is some.
Um, what did happen was the
Yes.
Tibetans are not only eating meat, they were responsible for all our wildlife smuggling. They used to kill the tigers, send them to Tibet, and in return get a deer, which was made into a shawl here called the shatush.
Mm.
Now, at one point, I became so upset that I decided to campaign to throw the Tibetans out of India. And at that point, the Dalai Lama then sent me this letter saying I'll become vegetarian because I was making a big song and dance of it.
Interesting. Yeah.
However, however, as God would have it, or as the universe would have it, the Karmapa came along. Now, the Karmapa is, I think he'd be in his 30s now, but the
Yes,
man is like an angel sent from God.
absolutely. Yeah.
There is something so powerful and so spiritual
Mm.
about this young man. As soon as he came, I think he was 16 or 17
That's right.
from
Yeah.
China, he immediately started talking about vegetarianism.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because of him, a large number of Tibetans became vegetarian.
Yes, that's right.
The
And including
second thing,
myself, actually, I was in India at that time when he gave a teaching under the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya about he was taking a lifelong vow of vegetarianism, and we were all asked to take it with him, and I did as well. So yes, it had a huge effect on that culture, but
he
also
was
a lot of people didn't
at the
like him
beginning.
for it as well. So it kind of also made him some enemies, I feel, because within that tradition, there were a lot of people and monks eating meat, as you say. There was the example of the Dalai Lama, and so when he came out as very like talking about vegetarianism, I think it also created some people within the community who were not so happy about that he was saying that. But you're right. I think it was incredible. Now, with the Bhutan issue, then, so going on to the sort
So
of
then
banning
what happened?
slaughterhouses,
So
which
hang
is
on,
this the,
shall I
yeah, go on.
finish?
Yeah.
So because of him, animal shelters started
Oh,
in
okay.
various places in India.
Yes.
One started in the Tibetan colonies in Karnataka, and hundreds of people started
Yeah.
looking after animals as well because he made it an issue. I went with him to Bodh Gaya several times
Yes.
because he started an animal hospital there.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was under house arrest most of the time. So at
Mm.
some point, he just got fed up and he left India. And
Mm.
now I'm told he's in Japan, but I'm not sure.
Mm.
But I wish he would come back to India because he
Mm.
was changing the whole community.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
second thing that I need to say is that when the Buddha said,
Mm.
don't eat meat, I mean, and go and beg for your food, it would tend to mean specifically that you cannot have Buddhist monasteries in which food is catered to you.
Mm.
So all these Ladakh, monasteries and all the ones in Darjeeling and all the ones wherever the Tibetans are, actually live in places where these things are given to them. And I don't think the Buddha meant for food to be given to you pre-cooked
No.
meat to eat.
Yeah.
Then in one particular case, the Tibetans in Ladakh would take cows right up to the top of
Mm.
mountains and throw them down and say, we didn't kill them, the gravity killed them.
Mm.
Now that has stopped,
Yes.
but because of the Karmapa.
Wow, that's very interesting because I follow the Karmapa. He's actually my
So
main
do I.
guru.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear that actually. So I wasn't aware of that. Now, what about this sort of how do you propose dealing with some of these issues then in India regarding all this slaughtering of animals? For example, Bhutan have made slaughterhouses illegal, but as you say, they export all the meat into Bhutan. But I recently launched a petition to try and ban the killing and sale of slaughtered animals near and around sacred Indian religious sites, for example, like Bodh Gaya. And I did get some support from it. But interestingly, um, again, the Buddhist community who I would have expected to have been really backing it didn't. So what's your sort of view on that sort of thing, that kind of campaigning to try and actually ban this sort of sale and also the actual killing of animals around the sacred Indian religious sites, for example? What do you think of
You
that?
know, most of India is a sacred religious site.
That's true.
Let's
Yeah.
not say that.
Yeah.
So, left to me, there wouldn't, be any. But the killing of
Absolutely.
animals
Yeah.
is usually illegal. It's
Yes.
not done in slaughterhouses. It's done in small, 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 small shops all over the place.
Yes.
And if there is a good district collector, magistrate, or whatever you call the administrative head,
Mm.
it can be stopped.
Okay.
But nobody wants to stop it. If the prime minister himself were to say today,
Mm.
let's stop it in all the sacred places of India, it would stop because he has that kind of power. But
Yes.
does he want to stop it? Because it's seen as secular to allow killing.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's been made into a sort of spiritual secular divide when in actual fact it's
Yeah.
not. It's about compassion and about animal
It's about
rights.
filth. It's
It's
about
about
filth. It's
empathy.
about
Yeah.
spreading disease. It's about using water.
Yes.
It's about forests. It's about living.
Yes. Yes. It's interesting you mentioned though that how this issue has been turned into a sort of like it's a religious sort of dogma. And in actual fact, this is again a sort of misses the point, as you say, that it's much more than just a religious ideal. It's a
But
humane
actually,
ideal. Yeah.
no, there are two things wrong. In actual fact, the Prophet Muhammad was himself vegetarian. And if you, because I've written a book
Yeah.
on Muslim to study that a lot, and all throughout the Quran, he is going on and on about don't make your stomach graveyard for animals. In fact, he's invented that phrase. And there are any number of stories in which he's told his followers that look, people who look after animals will get into heaven much faster than you guys.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And for somebody, and he was he was a vegetarian.
Yes.
And it's amazing that the Muslims don't just eat meat, but they define their religion as the eating of meat.
Yes, exactly. So how do you think that came about then? And again, it's like with the Buddhism, it's like this sort of kind of almost misinterpretation of the
That's
fundamental
right.
teachings. So
No,
yeah.
why? If you look at Jesus, Jesus
Mm,
himself is vegetarian. And
mm,
how do we know he's vegetarian? Because in the book
mm.
of John,
Hmm.
he says that we are part of the Essene tribe. The Essene tribe is vegetarian till today. But when it was translated, when the Bible or whatever, the Old Testament, was
Yeah.
translated from Hebrew to Latin, then the word to eat became meat. So
Oh,
he gave them to eat, he gave them meat.
yes. Interesting.
So,
Wow.
it's
Never
it's
knew
quite
that.
amazing
It
that
is.
all our religion inventors
Yes.
are vegetarian. And
Yes, I
so
believe this because if they are preaching about love and compassion, how could they not be? How could they be preaching that it was okay to kill animals? And
yeah,
the Buddha himself, in the sort of more the Mahayana sutras in particularly, was very much against it and very much against killing and ahimsa, right, which is the principle of nonviolence, as Indians know so well, the principle of ahimsa. Now, let's move on to sort of women in India a little bit now, because you are a very prominent female politician in India. In fact, I understand you're one of the longest serving Indian members of parliament. Is that correct? Almost 35
Yes, that's
years.
correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And you've done not only just being a woman in Indian politics, but as a minister for women and child development as well from 2014 to 19. So I was told that you coined a phrase called "save the girl child, educate the girl child." So is it Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao? Excuse my pronunciation,
Yes,
but
that's correct.
I wanted to ask you about that. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, for centuries, people have been killing their girls either in the stomach, if they found out through ultrasound that it was going to be a girl,
Mm,
or after the girl was born. So we reached a stage where for every 10 boys, there were between 6 to 7 girls, which is
mm,
not possible in nature. Because
no.
in nature, it would be 11 girls to 10 boys. So I started this thing called Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, which is save the girl, educate
Yes.
the girl. And then we did a huge, huge campaign. And within 2 years, the ratio went from 6 to 9, which means that people then stopped killing for the
Mm,
larger part. And we made it very fashionable and we made it very, very ugly to kill girls. And we started rewarding people, who name their shops after girls, like you have MacArthur and Sons. So
yes.
we say, okay, have MacArthur and daughters,
Oh,
you know,
brilliant. Okay,
things
excellent.
like
Yeah.
that. So we just changed things around. And it was a big success.
Yes.
Then what I also did was give the longest time for when you had a baby,
Mm,
the leave that you would get. Hmm? Maternity leave was up
mm.
to 4 months. So that helped a lot. And then we started schemes like where you put the girl when she was born, the government gave you a small amount of money, and
Yeah.
it was kept there till the girl reached 18, and then you'd give it to her. So we made it a mixture of bribery, and
Yes.
you know, we made it very sexy, as it were, to have daughters.
Well, that's
So that
great.
started.
And can I just say, like, as a woman yourself in Indian politics, which I'm assuming is still quite male dominated, is it? Or would you say that's improved to some extent, the number of women in politics there? Is that on the increase?
No, that's not the difference.
So how is it being a female politician then in a very sort of male dominated environment?
I don't know. I never thought of it like that.
Well, I mean, what were the sort of particular
Well,
challenges maybe that you
what
faced
the
as a
most
woman
the
that
well the most annoying part
yes,
of women being in politics is that normally the women that are chosen to
yes,
stand for election or something are either wives,
yes.
girlfriends, daughters, daughters-in-law. You know, that's annoying because they're not really people, either men or women. They're just appendages.
Yes, yeah.
So that was annoying to begin with. Um,
Did you
but
find that in your own situation that you initially it
no,
was
I
seen
didn't
as like
because I
that?
went into
Yeah.
politics much, much, much later.
Okay.
So, but I but once the women are in, I suppose they're as good or bad as anybody else.
Yes.
I really don't see the difference between men, women, animals. I just see them all
But
as one.
what about the sort of sexism then of sort of, even in in lots of fields, not just in politics, where a woman's voice, let's say, or experience is not given as much sort of emphasis, or did you find that yourself personally or
No,
no? So you felt that you were
no.
always given a sort of more of an equal
I
stage
got
with
my share. I got my share, and if I was
yeah.
talking nonsense, I was put down quite rightly.
Yes.
But
Okay.
if I
Right.
knew what, I worked very hard at it.
Yes.
You know, but and the women who work hard at it are really do well. Now we have 1 in 5 women, 1 in 5 people in the bureaucracy is a woman.
Mm.
So it's not doing too badly. Yeah,
No.
it sounds better than it is. 1 in 5 means 20%.
Yes. Well, and so in terms of them, what would you say were some of the most or sort of pressing challenges then facing women in India today?
I think the first most pressing challenge is really law and order, need to go out. But it's not just in India, it's anywhere in the world.
Mm.
Because you're a woman, you
Yes.
can be mugged, you can be raped, you can be, even just touched in a bus. That's
Mm.
so demeaning and so frightening.
Yes.
We deal with it by having special buses for women or special metro
Yeah.
things, for women. But that's not the way. I don't know what the answer to it is because I believe that as long as there'll be men and women, men will be horrible. It's a
Well,
power thing. And the stupider the man and the weaker the man, the more he will pick on the
yes,
women.
yes.
Huh?
But there is that element of culture there, right? I mean, there are certain places where it doesn't happen so often, let's say. So there is the
Where?
cultural. Well, I
Where?
mean, I know because I've traveled into a lot of countries that definitely there are some countries where I go as a lone female where I'm not faced with that sort of level of, let's say, street harassment. It's definitely a big difference. And that's a
Where?
culture. That's a good. Well, in Southeast Asia, for example, when I travel
Where Southeast
alone,
Asia? Where
Tha-
Southeast Asia?
Thailand, Vietnam. I mean, I don't face that level of sort of macho street harassment that I would get in other countries. It's, I mean,
Maybe you're
it's,
going on the wrong streets.
well, I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all, but I'm just saying, just generally, I mean, you pick up these things when you travel
No,
that
I'm
there
just
is no,
saying that
yeah,
it's not that it's going to happen to everybody, but
yes,
what we are born with is the fear that it will happen.
yes, yes.
Men don't get born with that fear.
Well, absolutely, and that's why they find it difficult to relate to. I think that women are
Yes,
being told, don't do this, don't wear that, and yet, the men and the boys are not being told, you should maybe stay in, you shouldn't do that.
that's right.
But
I just think they should make
mm,
it compulsory for boys to learn cooking from the time they're 3 years old. It brings out a more feminine side.
well, yes,
I
and
mean,
also
it
a
sounds
very
small,
useful
but
practical skill as
let
well.
them
I
learn
don't doubt.
embroidery, let them learn, what we
Yeah,
call home science. And maybe
absolutely.
it turns them into better people.
Definitely, and obviously everyone loves food as well, so it's a very great skill to have. Now, one of the things also in India I did notice when I was there was also that you have the female only travel transport on the
That's what I said,
underground
that
and
you
in
have, yeah,
trains, and this is actually very very good, I think, because again you're
very
creating
good.
a space for women. What do you think about people who say, well, that's just kind of reverse sexism? What's your sort of view on that?
No, no, it's very essential. It is very,
Yeah,
very essential.
yeah,
There are a lot of women who wouldn't go to work if they didn't have these things. A
absolutely,
woman cannot fight her way through to office every day and back.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I just wish we had more of them,
Yes.
and that
Well,
you have them everywhere. Yes.
anyway, so let's just sort of finish then on with this interview with particularly like maybe something in relation to how should we go about encouraging more and more people to adopt a vegetarian or ideally a vegan diet? Particularly in India where it's more, it is part of the cultural heritage and history. How can we do that? What's the sort of best way, do you think, to educate young people?
I just think that we should make meat less aspirational.
Yeah.
Number one, here in Asia, it has become something that rich people do.
Hmm.
So you have vegetarian families eating meat because it's what rich people do. Number one.
Yes.
Number two, I think governments and people and companies should put a huge emphasis on creating what is known as cellular meat,
Hmm.
what is known
Yes.
as clean meat.
Yes.
Now, if we can have cellular meat created, then we
Yes.
don't have to go through the headache of stopping people from eating meat. Then let them eat as much meat as they want, as long as it doesn't involve animals.
Yes.
The moment cruelty is removed from the meat um, issue,
Mm.
and I'm sure that's coming, it will be one of the great disruptions of the world because it will put an end to all slaughterhouses and
Yes.
an end to forcible breeding of cows,
Yeah,
buffaloes, goats,
exactly.
pigs, ducks, whatever. If we can, if governments can really hurry up the process of clean meat,
Mm.
we can change the world.
Yeah. Uh,
In fact, you will change global warming. You will
mm.
remove methane because India and China are the two countries that are drowning the world in methane.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it will save our forests. It will bring our rain back to normal levels.
Yes.
It will give enough food to everybody. So clean meat really is the one disruption that we need.
Yes. And what about, again, you mentioned about the health thing. A lot of people do, including, for example, Tibetans or, they say they're often eating meat for health reasons. And that is, as you say, like it's this influence of the Dalai Lama. And, how can we sort of educate people more and more, that actually this is not true, that actually meat is very unhealthy? What sort of things can we do to ensure people, this message that
You
meat is
know,
healthy
for the
gets,
last 1,000 years, we've been telling people that cigarettes are unhealthy. Has
yeah,
it made any
yes.
difference? It hasn't. So people are going to eat what they eat. The point is not to, if you're going to put it in front of them, they're going to eat it.
Yes.
So there are some things where government has to make decisions. Remove cigarettes.
Mm.
Don't keep preaching about them, just remove them.
Okay.
Number two, make alcohol levels less in alcoholic drinks. Things like that. The third would be to remove meat. And in
Yeah,
India, unfortunately,
absolutely.
not only are we pushing meat onto our people, but
Mm.
we're feeding the rest of the world as
Yes.
well.
Which again, considering the heritage of India,
No, and
it's
we are
just
we are
terrible.
exporting shrimp. The largest amount of shrimp in the world is exported. We were exporting shark fins until I stopped it. We are exporting just about everything. Now, we have recently found that every single fish in India has got formaldehyde in it because they put it in to keep the fish longer. So you get cancer along with your fish.
Yeah, that's really, really sad. Yeah. And yeah.
I find that, and I've said this several times, that the people who run tourism companies
Mm.
actually decide the world's economy. They think of themselves as just ticket sellers.
Mm.
But in actual fact, they decide whether a country is going to live or die on
Yes.
tourism. So if the tourism companies, like Skull, for instance,
Hmm.
Sweden, they decided, all right, we are not going to promote tickets to so and so country
Yes.
until they stop doing
Yeah.
XYZ. To
Yes.
give you one example,
Yes.
Mauritius is the largest exporter of monkeys for experiments, and England is the largest buyer. Now, were the tourism companies to
Mm.
say we will not send anybody to Mauritius
Mm.
until they stop exporting monkeys, they would do it in a flash.
Yes.
So we need to look at groups that influence behavior.
Yes.
You want to stop the cruelty to animals, select 5 animals a year and talk to the tourism companies and say, you will not sell tickets for these countries until they behave themselves.
Yes, exactly.
No?
Well, I completely agree with you. And banning meat has been suggested by the World Health Organization, even, right?
Yes,
Not
but
just
nobody's going to ban it.
no, so,
So,
well, the other option is making it very expensive, right? And then that was the
no, the
cigarette,
other, no,
is
I would
putting
say that
huge taxes on it.
no, I think that meat is already expensive in India. It doesn't
Okay.
make any difference. The point is to forget about banning it and just create clean meat at the same prices, the cellular
Mhm.
meat.
Yes. Yeah.
And then people can eat it happily. They can
Yeah,
die by
definitely.
themselves.
What about though, you mentioned how it's actually illegal to be keep animals cooped up and killing them in those situations. And obviously we've seen that in many places, like in this petition in Bodh Gaya, there's all the chickens in the cages. Now, is there a way, to get local authorities to pressure them to actually, use the laws, the Indian laws are there, right, to stop that? It's a basic breach of law, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But nobody is going to stop it until somebody asks for it to be stopped.
Hmm.
So we need to get the animal movement much stronger. Every year we add to it. Now we have 40 million people in the animal welfare movement.
Hmm.
The idea is to get them to take up one subject,
Hmm.
apart from just feeding dogs and feeding dogs and feeding
Yes.
dogs, which seems to be
Yes.
99% of the movement.
Yes.
But if we can get them to pay attention to the more
Mm,
important things, like
mm,
changing policy in the
mm.
slaughter arenas,
Yes,
the chickens, the
exactly.
pigs, the cows, the dairies.
Yeah.
Now, if we can get them to band together, then
Mm,
the politician who has the power to make the decisions will make them.
mm, mm,
But until we prove ourselves,
mm,
nobody's going. Let me give you one example,
mm,
just
mm,
one. In West Bengal, for many years, the goddess, what we call Kali or Devi, the unmarried goddess with the open hair,
mm.
she is her birthdays and her celebrations are done by offering her animals, the killing of animals, what is known as animal sacrifice.
Yes.
Now, one village wrote to me last week
Mm.
and said, we have taken a decision that we are no longer going to kill
Mm.
uh, in our temple, and we are going to offer flowers instead.
Mm.
And
Great.
it didn't take, today they've written to me saying that the member of parliament came to our temple and he said, if you don't kill, I'll shut it down and I'll put you all in jail and everything.
Yeah.
So I spoke to him and I said, what is the matter with you?
Yes.
Why are you getting involved in something like this? So he said, no, people like killing. Why shouldn't we encourage it?
Oh,
So until we can
sad,
prove
yeah.
that people
That's
don't like
very
killing,
sad, yeah, that people would say that people like killing, and maybe there's some truth in that. I don't know, but it doesn't justify it, right? It
no,
doesn't
it
sort of.
doesn't.
So,
You know,
yeah,
I think the more powerless you feel, the more
yeah,
you want to beat your wife or
yes,
your children, the more you want to quarrel with your neighbor.
mm,
And if there is an animal around, then there's nothing like killing the animal. You know,
absolutely. So, what about having a sort of a very well-known public figure, really spearheading a campaign in India then to, like you say, maybe just in particular, let's talking about the slaughter of animals, the breeding and slaughter of animals there and exploitate,
we've
you
had so many public figures. The
know.
prime minister himself is
Yeah.
vegetarian. The
Oh,
home minister is vegetarian. Half the government is vegetarian.
yeah.
But do you think they would open their mouths for it? No way.
Yeah. And
That's the
why?
problem.
What? Because it's
What we
not popular?
say,
Yeah.
no, of course it's popular. They just don't want
Mm.
to go there. I'm
Ah,
saying
okay.
what we are and what we do. There's a dichotomy. You know, if the now, for instance, the Jains have all the money in India,
Mm.
but do you think they would put pressure on the government that stop the slaughterhouses? No, they wouldn't. So we need people to understand that they need what they are and what they do should be homogenized.
Yes.
One person.
Yes. And so,
Otherwise, you can't win.
otherwise, you can't win. Yeah. So, and again, it will get to a situation where obviously the planet will completely collapse under the pressure of the, like you say, the resources, the land, the water. So it's actually unsustainable. And I always thought that India could lead the world in that respect because it does have that vegetarian heritage in the culture, in the yogic diet, and so. In a way, India could be an example to the rest of the world, to
It
um,
could be if we would only get the confidence to do it.
yes. Well, I hope and pray that you do, because in a way, I think India is probably the best place to lead the world on this vegetarian diet, and with good reasons. And in all the religions, like you say, the multicultural, multi-religion India, to find a way to bring that all out in the sort of not killing animals as being part of that multicultural, multi-religious heritage there. Anyway, Mrs. Gandhiji, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you for a lot longer. There's so many questions I would love to ask you, but I've also been, I was sort of it's suggested, not to go into sort of delving into the past too much. So I've kept away from that. But certainly, you're certainly a very inspiring woman and a magnificent example of someone who can come through great tragedy and personal challenges and really carve out a space for yourself there in India, doing something very meaningful and very beneficial for not just animals, but for women as well. So thank you very much for your
Thank you for
your
asking.
work, your activities, and I really hope that it long continues. So thank you so much again.